Hi, everyone. This is Lou Antonetti back with session 11 for Mindset Match, how to elevate yourself in the game of life. And going with the Sachem Public Library's Mindful Monday concept, I'm able to read some passages from my book called Monday Messages, Reflections on Life, Leadership, and Learning in Our Schools, available on Amazon. Shameless promo. Sorry about that. But one thing we're going to focus on for this session is trust, how to approach your day, how to be vulnerable, and have vulnerability help you out in life. Something about if you suffer a lot, suffering actually or going through some adversity will actually help you grow, and the learning comes through the suffering. We're going to speak about filling voids in life, as if you have a lot of voids, sometimes negativity will fill those, and that's not something good to have go on. But basically, I feel that the main component of life that you need to leave at the door each day you leave the house is your ego. Without an ego, the vision of yourself and others becomes much clearer. It's impossible to be aware while harboring an ego. Egos cloud thinking and make us behave in a way that is not true to our inner soul. The ego wall blocks people from relaxed, positive interactions. Ego-driven people will never be aware they are missing out on positive interaction because they're not aware from the start. Emotions are a tough thing to handle, but the best leaders of organizations or teams in life are able to keep their egos and emotions in check. The main purpose of my book, Monday Messages, is to capture different areas of life that we all can improve upon. Each day provides us with an opportunity to write another chapter in our own book. The book we write for ourselves is based on our daily decisions. If only people could flip back to previous chapters to see how they behaved or reacted, only then would they be aware of what they were, what they are, and ultimately be aware of how their present actions are determining their future. Once you are aware, you feel that you've taken a step back from the world and are observing yourself from the outside. It is truly a surreal experience to witness the behavior of others in a way they themselves cannot comprehend in the moment. So please enjoy session 11, and I'll see you soon. Trust the process. I know that I mentioned the value of trust in a prior session, but I'd like to touch upon how we can develop it naturally. Project adventure classes in school, let's say, they facilitate trust falls, which require people falling to trust that others will catch them, given they have zero chance of catching themselves. This is an exercise that is as challenging to the mind as it can be to the body. Many people who have a hard time trusting tend to not like to feel vulnerable. Feeling vulnerable requires you to open a small window that may let in failure, hurt, or mistakes. Trusting in systems and processes is hard for most people because usually the result or solution takes time. In our digital age where information and answers are provided at the speed of light, I feel that our society expects the development of things to occur quicker than they should. By rushing to do something we are not allowing to develop, whether it be through thought or action to take place, we're expecting instant gratification, and that's our society's downfall, which is why conflict occurs due to a breakdown or lull in communication and impatience. I find myself feeling the pressure of not allowing a mistake, as my daughter sometimes experiments with everything, especially when she was younger, let's say around 2 or 3 years old. The more independent she seems to become, the more I fear for her hurting herself, as she must learn from her mistakes, sometimes resulting in many band-aids. But I find that I have my hand out to prevent her from falling when I'm around her. But if I don't let her fall, she may never know how to pick herself up or prevent it from happening again. So in essence, I'm creating a false sense of reality that may not allow her to learn through a developmental process. It was also brought to my attention by my wife that nature does not rush things, yet everything seems to be accomplished in the end. If we can understand the necessity of letting things naturally occur in the flow of our personal lives, we will overcome impatience and lack of trust in the future. Every morning we wake up, we have a choice. And the famous author John Gordon once said, you can either rise and shine or rise and whine. So it's up to you. Remember, it's all about the mindset that you wake up with and approach your day. But just a few things. Every morning you wake up, you have a choice. And I'm going to list a few here. You have a choice to bring a positive attitude to your day. You have a choice to try to make things work when they don't seem to be working. You also have a choice to put ego aside for the greater whole, to not overanalyze situations, to understand that you cannot change people, but only your reaction to them, to attract others to work with you and not have them doubt themselves. You have a choice to keep in mind that any angst or complaining is only taking time away from you being happy. You also have the choice to be happy rather than always proving yourself right to other people. Remember that when our time is up here on this planet, this earth, there will not be a score on your headstone saying you won or lost, but it'll say you were missed because you made others happier. Keep that all in mind. Now, vulnerability is something that people look as showing a sign of weakness, but if you allow yourself to be vulnerable, there are many opportunities that can arise for you. As professionals, we are always told to follow a certain code of conduct and understand school building or school district policies. What they don't tell our new teachers during the orientation is that rules alone will not allow you to make a connection with students. Sometimes we need to let our guard down in order to build up relationships. By sharing a personal story that may help you relate to a troubled student, or just by speaking from your heart, colleagues and students will value the genuineness. For some, sharing times of personal weakness or trouble can make them feel vulnerable. Feeling vulnerable is an unwanted feeling for most, but if you allow it to occur, trusting relationships will develop like never before. We had an incident a while back in my career with a ninth grade student who was afraid to enter the building, and once he did, he would sprawl out on the hallway floor due to anxiety and refuse to go to class. As he lay there one day, silent and staring into the distance, I was able to have a one-on-one conversation moment with this student that allowed me to share some of my fears. Pretty much breaking it down for the student allowed me to build him back up. By talking to him as a trusting individual and not an authority figure, I was able to break down those walls that many students form in their minds. Because of our society, people feel the need to lie or cover things up for fear of being judged. If fear of being judged inhibits your ability to be genuine, please know that those who do the judging usually have the biggest fears or insecurities of all. Otherwise, they wouldn't care about other people's business. So please do not worry about what other people think of you. Just have the confidence to be vulnerable and to put yourself out there. And more times than not, people will respect you for your genuineness and honesty. Now I'm going to quote one of my favorite lead singer of my favorite band here, Mr. Eddie Vedder. One concert I went to, he talked about scars and being able to fix the cracks in your life. And he said, it's the people without the scars. Those are the people you have to worry about. Meaning the people who haven't had to tackle any adversity in life, you have to worry about them because you don't know if they'll be there when the going gets tough. So sometimes you have to get kicked to the curb in order to develop a sense of grit inside that makes you resilient to any circumstances that are thrust upon you. This grit can make you stronger, giving you a sense of confidence that can't be bought, since you know that you've survived the toughest of times. It is the people who have never had to experience strife, loss, or failure who may not know what they're truly made of, since they never had to overcome something that was out of their control. To have scars means that you are battle tested, have been knocked down before, and have experienced mistakes. Those who have been forced to experience the lows of life understand what it takes to rise up. These people tend to be hungrier for the prize or willing to sacrifice more than those who have never been forced to sacrifice anything. When building a team of individuals to achieve a common goal, it would be wise to include people who have achieved something from the ground up, people who value trust, and people who don't need a PR firm to prove how valuable they are. Just like a cut on the skin can only heal from the inside going outward, true persevering can only happen if you possess a foundation that cannot be cracked by pressure. From the core of your being, a solid foundation is needed in order for you to improve yourself. Within that foundation lies the advice and good qualities that you took from those who might have been lost along the journey of your life as well. And keep in mind that while most people fear the act of suffering, you may not appreciate the highs as much as you should unless you've experienced the lows. Now, many people try to avoid mistakes, But the biggest part is if you make mistakes, we need to learn from those. And I'm going to read a quote here real quick by Buckminster Fuller here. Sorry. It says, "We're brought up, unfortunately, to think that nobody should make mistakes. Most children get degeniused by the love and fear of their parents, that they might make a mistake. But all my advances were made by mistakes. You uncover what is when you get rid of what isn't." So once you learn what not to do, you learn what to do. I know it seems like a backwards plan, but for a lot of people, this gets lost in the process. The lens through which we view life must be clear. Many students make mistakes, behaviorally or academically. These mistakes are not the result of someone being a bad person, but a good person making a poor decision. As long as we teach our students to learn from mistakes, they will begin to focus on seeing success without worrying about failure. Fact is, life is about experiences. It is important to learn lessons from each one and be conscious when they occur. Being aware is vital, so you do not miss opportunities for enjoyment and reflection. Too many people, especially students, live life unconsciously, never acknowledging the fact that they have certain flaws and they are afraid to admit their faults. What many people don't remember is that once you're aware of your faults, it then becomes possible to work on improving yourself, which will make you a better person. By denying what you really are, you are only denying yourself of a rich and fruitful life. Now, when there's a void, or there's a lull, and positivity or productivity is not filling it, usually negativity or complaining will fill it, especially within an organization or team or school. And I see that many students may not identify themselves as being part of their school culture. And there's that void. A lack of connection to school usually means that a student will deviate from what the school is trying to accomplish. They won't have a vested interest in the bigger picture and where they fit in. How many times do we try to get students involved in some aspect of school life, such as clubs, music, or athletics? Fact is, life is about connections, just as school connections. Without a connection to something or somebody, you are on an island. When we are young, we try hard to be part of a group, and that connection gives us confidence. As we get older, we naturally tend to break off connections with those who are weaker than others. Basically saying that you have strong relationships, you have positive relationships, and as you get older, you become more aware of those positive relationships, and basically your vibe is going to attract your tribe, as the quote says. So if you are putting out positive energy, you're going to find yourself wanting to be around positive people. When a connection or bond does not exist, a void opens up. Some of us may not know a void exists in our lives, but if we take a step back, we may find ourselves overcompensating in other areas to fill that void. Some students do not have the ability to fill their void in a positive manner. They will find themselves taking part in unproductive, negative activities as they float on through the school day. So I humbly ask everyone to help students find a connection in your school building. The stronger the connection is to school, the stronger their connection will be to your class and their studies. Strong bonds with solid foundations culminate in long-lasting relationships and positive results. Making a connection with students can happen if they see you at one of their games or a concert or simply asking them about their weekend. The connections made outside the classroom may pay huge dividends when it comes to lesson implementation and student performance. Students want to work hard for people they trust and feel connected to, and that's a fact. Now, this will be our last slide for session 11, so I thank you all for joining again, and I look forward to next month, session 12, where I'll bring more segments from my book, Monday Messages, to you all. Now, relationships. I see the picture of people holding hands. Relationships are obviously more than just connections because they can go a lot deeper. Our lives are based on relationships. The better they are, the more we enjoy life. Relationships are something you cannot buy. It takes effort by both sides to make them work, but the more you give, the more rewarding they are. Unfortunately, miscommunication and assumptions are the cause of many problems in relationships. If you don't hear something from the horse's mouth, please take it as untrue. Too many negative emotions are wasted on thinking about what others say. There are few people who we can really trust with our personal information in life. Unfortunately, it takes time to find out who those people are, and it may hurt when you find out who you cannot trust. Each day brings many tests of your beliefs, morals, and values. Instead of thinking poorly about others, focus your energy on the people who care about and support you through thick and thin. The score, if people are keeping one, will take care of itself. And let's be thankful for the positive family, work, and personal relationships we have. If there is something you would like to reach out to, or someone you'd like to reach out to, whether it be to catch up or clear things up, make it happen. The first step can start with you. The relationships and people that schools have are what makes them a special place. Even though some days can be tough, having one person say thank you can make it all worth it. So I thank you again for joining us on session 11. Please take some of these ideas into your daily life this month. I hope you enjoy this session, and I'll see you at session 12 next month. Thank you. Be well.